Here comes the Nastygram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is episode 10 of One Shot at a Monster.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic. Redemption. Now I'm waking.
All right, welcome back. I'm Josh. I am your Dungeon Master.
Hi, I am Dean, and I am playing Sir Aedric Windmere, the Knight.
Hey, I'm John. I'm playing Dr. Merrick Hoffman, the Scholar.
I'm Jacob. I'm playing Avery Colburn, the Noble.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm playing Keeler Ulson, the Bone Carver Ranger.
Ruby, last time around, you guys went from a bear cave up to the mountain summit. So you were able to escape the polar bear's clutches, had a pretty gnarly experience in the storm, but you got naked and you tucked nuts to butts and got through it. Grueling trek throughout the night into the day, but finally did reach the peak of this great mountain on the island of Alisand. We're confronted by some tribesmen. They sort of took you into custody and you were questioned in front of the council, mainly the council directing their initial questions at Keeler and Jan for why they brought these outsiders here. Essentially, all of you guys arguing a case of what you're here to do, which is hopefully to look for some of these crystals and maybe get some help from the council. One of the angriest members of the council, a fiery red-haired woman named Mauja from the tribe of Sveinheim, said the only way was to put you guys to the test. Some sort of test of the death, which other council members, all the council members have apparently passed. And you guys assented. And that is where we left off. You know what's funny too? A little peek behind the DM screen. No, I fucked up. So a lot of times before like a campaign or an arc or whatever, I'll print out like a shitload of NPC names.
Same.
Right? And like as I like prep each game, I'll cross them off. So I have like good, and then like I'll have extras. So Edar, right? The older councilman. I like that guy.
I like him too.
Yeah, well, I completely forgot I used Edar already
Oh,
for that guy that you captured, that Matt.
Well, there's
Cut-
more
cut
than
his
one
goddamn-
Edar in these lands.
It's like John.
Yeah.
Edar's like John.
Yeah.
So
It's the John of whatever the fuck this place is called again.
So here we are. You guys are brought after agreeing to this out from the council chambers. And instead of that main kind of passageway, this, we talked about this almost seems like a carved riverbed, which Dr. Hoffman believes possibly from lava flows far back in the day. You're actually brought to like a side passage that goes deeper in and to another room. Looks to be perhaps natural and expanded. And the four of you are brought in there. Jan nods from the doorway. There's a couple guardsmen out there, and he says, I believe in your strength, all of you. None of you are outsiders anymore. Trust in yourselves, and I will see you when you are through.
Based on the way some of those council members look, I believe we'll need our wisdom and wits as well.
Yes. Everyone has the strengths they need that is here. Good luck to you, my brothers. Jan walks out. Four of you are left there, and one of the guardsmen says, Councilman will be back soon to prepare you. You may rest.
No. Finally, some rest. Hoffman kind of... Is there like a chair or bench or something?
There's nothing.
Nothing.
There's kind of some almost what you could assume were like sleeping alcoves or platforms, kind of carved out of a few feet up, kind of flattened. There are some furs and cloth leathers in here, sort of padding / bedding around.
Hoffman tries... he kind of finds a spot to lay out a bit of parchment and starts writing notes about the council and the last bit of information that we've learned from them.
Nerd.
Avery's kind of nervously pacing back and forth through this cave. He does not like the unknown. He doesn't like not being able to prepare. And I kind of glance over at the notes that Hoffman is writing, and I say, what do you think this is going to be, Doctor?
Well, it's hard to say. It seems like nobody here besides the council knows what this is, even our friend Keeler. Some trial of strength and perhaps bravery, perhaps survival. If it's anything like what Keeler put that man through, it's more of a leave us on some abandoned island. Maybe there are creatures there that we must fight. Hoffman shrugs.
Could be anything that they decide it to be. It being so mysterious that there's no reason for them to give us the same test that they have taken.
Maybe they are now deciding what that test is.
I trust Adar. I don't know about the rest of that council, but he seems to be the wisest among them. If the test is fair, we'll prevail.
Avery looks at Adric, and I say, can you imagine such a thing in the court? Testing people simply to be in your company.
Not to be in their company, Avery. It's just more they are testing us. It's as if you came to the council or the nobles and with a proposition, as I did to you, and you have to present yourself as if you understand or know what you're talking about.
And if they don't like that presentation, they kill you.
Our proposition is beneficial to both us and them. That should be enough.
They don't know that yet, though. And what we're asking them to do, what we're asking from them is to parcel out some of their land for mining rights, for lack of a better analogy. If a stranger came to our court and asked to dig up the basement of our churches, do you think it would be all hunky-dory if he said, oh, well, it's in our best interest? No. You have to see it from their perspective. This is a holy spot, and we are outsiders, except for our friend Keeler. And we must be treated, we must understand what that means to be outsiders. We have to prove to them.
Yes.
Keeler, are you just keeping to yourself during this exchange as you guys are in this room thinking about the coming test?
Oh, yeah, I mostly ignore everything Avery says. I'm probably just sitting off to the side, whittling at a bone.
Keeler, maybe you don't know what this test might be, but tell me, what other challenges, strength-wise, survival, that do your people participate in? Maybe it'll give us some insight on what this could be.
I don't think that will help.
Well,
this test, I don't think, will be like the one when I was young. This is a special test for council members. Prove you are worthy to be amongst the brothers and the sisters. Worthy to yield the powers here, to read what the future holds, what the past tells you.
Well, it's not a lot of information to go on then, yes.
Here's what I know. If I want to give a bunch of strangers a test, I can assure you I wouldn't give them a test that's been done before. I wouldn't want them to know what that test would be. So we can consider the test all we want. We're not going to know until it happens. Perhaps it's best to empty our minds a little bit and just respond to what is given to us so we have no preconceived notions and we do not think ourselves into defeat.
I suppose that...
Wise words.
Yes. I suppose that in a way we do test people in the court. Test the way they react to the things we say. Test how they use information we give them. I kind of begrudgingly accept this.
Aw. He's growing.
You hear some footsteps in the hall, and there's no door, of course, but there is actually a heavy fur that hangs in the opening to this side chamber, pulled aside, and a few men enter. Two that you don't recognize, actually a man and a woman, both tribesmen, a little bit older in their, or up there in their years, and then the oldest, of course, the familiar wrinkled face of Edar. His slight frame comes in. The man and woman that were ahead of him are carrying a good amount of things, and they kind of come into the room and crouch down and start to sort of unpack things. As Edar speaks to you, you see them put out a brazier in the center of the room. There are some cups that are set out. You see a boiling container or steaming container of some sort of hot liquid. They start pouring out, and as Edar speaks, they sort of move along amongst you, handing you this cup with a very strong, almost herbal smelling liquid, and also taking some sort of paste, which they start to mark on your face.
Does Adar look like Joe Rogan in my own Fear Factor? Is this?
And then they pass around the cow test.
I was just going to say, is this right? Animal dicks.
And Edar says, I know that you have had quite a strenuous trip here. Maybe a prelude to your test, just to reach us through the storm. The shaman will do what they can to make your mind and body as ready as possible. There is not much I can tell you, except that each of you must rely on the strengths that you have, and on each other. Often the test is undertaken alone, most commonly, but for this you will all be together, and you will succeed or fail together. Mauja of Svanheim has called this test, and she knows that are you to pass, then you are granted the rights of a council member, and then we can discuss from there. I must remain as impartial as I can during the conduct of the test, but I can say that I do hope that you come through this, and I think you can.
I appreciate the confidence, Edar.
Edar, thank you.
The shamans have been moving around, continuing to mark your faces across your forehead, down both cheeks. This paste, which kind of tingles, almost like a burning tingle, like Bengay or Biofreeze, and then starts to sort of relax your body as you sip this rather pungent herbal-ish tea liquid. Again, you feel heat in your belly, and spreads throughout your limbs, and you start to feel much more relaxed and, if not rested, at least peaceful. The loudest pangs of fatigue leave your mind and your body. And Edar says, he points to the floor. There's a stack of linen and furs. He says, these are clean and dry. They will be all that you need for the test.
Very well.
He takes one step in and he strikes a stone, throws some sparks, and the brazier ignites. And he takes from his from a belt pouch an herb of some kind, and he crushes it in his hand and sprinkles it into the brazier. And a kind of heady smell starts to fill the room, and he backs out. As he passes by, he places his hand softly on your shoulder, Dean, on Adric's shoulder, and just nods to you.
I nod back.
The shaman finished their rounds, and the woman says, please, as Edar said, take off your things.
I do as instructed.
Okay. And they walk out of the room. The fur flaps shut behind them.
Okay. Yeah. Avery nervously takes off his armor. Not used to that.
Says the masseuse says, undress to your level of comfort. I'll be back in a moment.
Keep it all on.
Hoffman like he takes his armor and stuff off, but he has the crystal in his gloved arm. And he like pauses. He says, "Must we take everything?
Probably best to follow the rules.
This is my strength."
You have more strength than you know.
He sighs and unlatches his gauntlet.
Oh, but I'm taking my sword. I leave everything behind.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, you guys were disarmed.
Yeah, I recall that.
Initially, but when you were led into this room, one of the guardsmen did set all the weapons they'd taken from you. They're sitting, leaning up against in the corner.
Yep.
But we're instructed to leave behind for now.
Yep.
Okay.
So you guys, you dress in these clothes that were brought for you. They're clean and dry and comfortable, and with what you've been drinking and looking across at each other at these interesting face painting jobs that you have, and then the smell from this brazier that's filling the room, you sit back and you do all start to feel quite relaxed. Only a few moments pass, and Mauja, the red-haired woman, enters the room, and she looks around and she says, "We will see. That is our way." She walks to the center and she takes a powder and drops it into the brazier. It flares kind of strongly, and your all your nostrils kind of tingle. Your eyes water a bit. She walks out. One by one, the other three members of the council, the large bearded man Hegdal walks in. He adds some leaves into the fire. Anana, the wide-faced woman of Bronsoon, comes in, and she actually puts some sort of paste which crackles in the flame. And lastly, Poali of your tribe, Matt, of Udvar, comes in and adds again to the flame. With the last addition, the flames crackle into greenish blue, and as the tent flaps closed, or the fur across the door closes, the four of you are left in there, and something is definitely happening. You're feeling increasingly relaxed, warm, safe, and you look at the faces of your companions across the room from you, and they seem to be growing increasingly distant. The room is fanning apart. You almost feel like you're falling backwards in a, not a terrifying way, an almost peaceful, you're slipping slowly away, and everything fades into blackness.
Are we done?
And you guys failed. Nobody did anything. You got poisoned. You're all dead.
And the white knight
I already rolled the dice
walking
and
back
determined
towards-
that you died.
Okay, so roll that d20.
Oh,
This is the
man.
test.
Smoked too much of the halfling's weed.
Okay, you all come back to awareness of yourselves, and you are in a room, in a cavern of some kind, you think. You look around, you see your companions, but they look a bit different. Well, Dean, how do you think in Adric's mind, in his imagination, does Adric appear a little bit different? In what way?
I think Aedric would probably, meaning to others or to himself?
To himself. Is there an idealized version of Adric, maybe a younger?
Probably a younger version of himself, but maybe less because of his age and more because of then the Order of the Blackstone was something that was a little bit more in the limelight of the capital, a little bit more hey in the streets type of stuff versus kind of look the other way because we don't know how to behave around them anymore.
So maybe Sir Adric is there. Less gray, straight black hair, the Order of the Blackstone tabard waving, standing proudly across his chest and shield. Dr. Hoffman, how do you appear?
He is wearing what looks like what you've seen in drawings of a elven mage master wears. It's kind of a idealized version of what he thinks an elven mage would wear from the sun elves, and with a gauntleted crystal on his arm.
Nice. Jake, how about Avery?
Are we going idealized or personal? How like we kind of see ourselves, or
Yeah, whatever kind of combination of those two things. If it's a,
they're the
for
complete
Adric, it might
opposite.
be, well, it's idealized to you in your own mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
as opposed to how Avery sees himself.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Okay. Yes.
those
yes.
would be
And
complete
I-
opposite.
for Avery himself.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
then yes, it would be more the idealized version.
The idealized version is
if you have terrible self-esteem, is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I think if it were kind of how Avery sees himself, then it would be more as almost like a child, or like weaker, and that would be, I mean, kind of like his whole thing is he's trying to be this hero, but he doesn't see himself that way. He sees himself as kind of a like this weak dandy noble.
Yep. How would
and-
you want to be
Right.
seen?
And he's got these older brothers. And, I think a lot of that is like he feels like the child and has always felt like he had something to prove, which is why he's such an asshole. But idealized is the opposite. Is I mean, like your typical Disney like prince, like like the barrel chested, strong, like
The guy that's trying to
super
bang,
handsome.
bang beauty
Yeah, he's banging beauty and and
and
all
the mermaid and all
yeah,
of them.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Jasmine, let's be real.
All right. Matt, how about Keeler?
I'd say he probably is looking a little taller, stronger, more toned.
I want him to look like Windmere so bad.
And probably like more rugged than you've seen him. Like
Super metal.
yeah.
More wild, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Like more like feral and animalistic than more,
Cool.
like a half elf.
Yep. All right. Maybe a few more kind of bone carving things with your gear and your hair, anything like that, talismans and shit like that. A little bit wild. So this is what you see as you look around, but there is a strange dreamlike quality to it. Your companions, they're there, but there's almost like a sheen around them. They're almost too bright in a way. Like they're not being illuminated. They're just these almost projections. You have all the gear that you would imagine. Adric is in his armor and Avery. And this room, the floor is somewhat nondescript. And then you realize as you look around, three sides are just empty blackness. And in front of you, there is a stone wall. In the center of it, there's a large archway with a gate, a door of some kind. The arch is in rows of these stones, and you start to make out a multitude of symbols on them and on the floor as it leads up to them. On either side of this gate, there are two pedestals, and two would at first might appear as statues, but very quickly you realize they are observing you. They are almost not featureless, but nearly so. They are humanoid, but indistinct race, just kind of pale white light, almost like marble, but is clearly alive in a way.
Animated, at least.
And the hands of one is a massive hammer, and the other is a sword. And you see them sort of any kind of step any of you take, they sort of react to you. And I'm sorry, the one thing I forgot that Idar would have mentioned is that the test is made up of 3 steps, and you must get through each. So how this is going to work is it's pretty pretty open ended. Okay, I have basically some sort of challenges, goals. There's going to be some dice and shit like that involved. Obviously, it's D&D. You got to roll dice, but I want you guys to be as creative as you can when you're attacking this. You know, I don't have any kind of set plan of what kind of rolls you should make. I want you guys to really paint a picture of how you're getting through these challenges.
I attack it with my sword.
What?
Nice.
How many levels of exhaustion did everybody have? By the way,
2.
1.
2.
Oh, that's what that was. I had 2, I think. I wrote EX and then 2 marks next to
2
it.
experience.
two for Keeler, 2 for Avery, 2 for Hoffman, 1 for Adric.
Yep.
Okay. Those are going to be kind of my inspiration if I want to kind of give you a little fuck you moment and take something off one of your rolls. That's what I have in the bank. And if you guys had any inspiration, you can use it. Otherwise, you might get some. So here you are. There's this gateway ringed by runes and all sorts of symbols you haven't really started to make out beyond that yet. What do you do?
I hold up my hand and kind of wave it in front of me and I say, I don't know if I'm dreaming or hallucinating.
His voice comes out watery, almost to the point of being indecipherable. It sounds like a mix between Avery and the teachers from Peanuts, right? Isn't that the one? You can understand him, but it takes some trying, and it does not. You almost hear it in your head versus it coming across this space or whatever.
Are you 3 really here?
I'm here.
I'm struggling to understand you, Avery. I can almost hear you in my head.
I think we're hallucinating. Whatever was in the magic brought us to this place.
Do you think we're still sitting in that room?
Probably.
Are we wearing our armor again?
Yes.
Okay.
I point to the blackness on our sides and behind us.
I nod. I kind of like touch my armor, like try to feel it, like
Feels like armor. You get the sensation in your hand. It feels like metal. There is something different about all of your senses here, and yet they all work in general the way that they work.
Mm-hmm.
if what you said is right, Doctor, does that mean you're just in my head?
Perhaps. Perhaps we are all in each other's heads.
Well, we're here and the test is before us. I look at the marbled animation or construction looking things.
I look at you and I say, that is what Windmere would say.
I see the archway. I guess we must go through that. I just point.
Hoffman takes a step towards it, just one, and observes what the creatures do.
They react to you smoothly. They sort of just gently pivot towards you a bit. Their faces are, pretty much featureless.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, the indent of where eyes would be, a point of where a nose would come out, and yet they move like they're watching you.
Well, first we have to figure out what these runes mean. He starts looking at all of the.
Can you read them, Keeler?
Can I?
There are a variety of runes and symbols, and they don't all match in any way. Some seem to maybe have some relevance to the stars. Some are, Hoffman, you think some kind of archaic text, actual characters.
Mm-hmm.
Some are geometric in nature. They almost look like symbols of motions. You'd have to look a little bit closer to make out more of it.
And
Meaning physically closer to the details?
Yeah.
Got it.
and on the, you said they were on the ground as well.
Yes, there's the four as you get closer
Has a ring,
start to be like a semicircle that comes around.
and then another semicircle over the gate.
Correct. Yep. And the gate, the door, it's it's solid. It's, I mean, it appears as if it should be a door or a gateway, but you see there's no hinges, there's no knob, there's no lock, there's nothing, but it's a solid thing.
Would you describe it as wood looking?
Not really.
No.
Almost,
Tough to discern.
yes, too smooth to be wood. There's no kind of grain or pattern in it.
Got it.
Not really like any kind of material that you can imagine or have seen.
I wonder if those
Plastic.
creatures are are here to stop us from getting to that door.
Only one way to find out.
Not too close, Avery.
Oh, I didn't try to move.
Oh, if Hoffman takes another step towards the ruins on the floor to get a better look at them.
Okay.
So,
So
but looking at the two creatures as I slowly take.
I try to reach out and touch Hoffman. Adric tries to touch Hoffman.
you touch something
Mhm.
where he is. It doesn't feel like you might have, as Avery did, kind of naturally like touched your own arm or touched yourself. That felt pretty obvious. When you reach out to touch each other, it's vaguer. It's like there's like a lump there.
I say, I apologize. I try to backhand him.
You try to backhand him.
Yep.
Apologize for it.
You
I just swipe my hand across his face.
it
Apologize for it.
doesn't really connect strongly.
Did you feel that?
You felt it, but it felt like muted, dulled.
Yes, but it's as if I was hit with maybe a pillow.
I tried to
Hoffman
strike
shrugs.
you very hard.
Oh,
I mean, not so hard. Don't get me wrong, Hoffman.
Well, I appreciate that, Adric.
Checks the settings to see if friendly fire's on.
Avery has a belt pouch that with a bunch of hand crossbow bolts in it. I take one out. They're probably small, like only a couple inches long, and I'm gonna kind of toss it forward, like at the feet of one of those things.
Okay. It falls again. It's odd because it doesn't make the noises you think it should make. Like things don't make natural
Clattering.
noises. Like you hear it hit, but there's no kind of clatter. There's no echo because it's not really, the sound's not working the way it should. So it's a bizarre experience, but the figure kind of seems to almost watch it coming and then
Okay.
doesn't react to it and looks back towards you. Hoffman, they did the same thing, kind of oriented towards you, but you're standing in front of that semicircle. You haven't crossed it, correct? So
Yeah, just staying in front, just to get a better look at the symbols. To
Okay.
see if they like the ones on the ground match the door or.
give me a, well, I don't know. I would say an investigate check.
Okay. Oh, I'm good.
So wherever Hoffman is moving, I want to be mirroring him on like opposite of him. So if he's moving like forwards to the right, I want to be moving forwards to the left. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? To like watch their reactions of these creatures, if they're going to split towards us, if they're going to shift focus towards him, try to get a gauge of what their positioning is. You know what I mean?
Okay, give me a perception check, Matt.
I got a 20, a dirty 20.
14.
Okay, you think they're reacting to both of you. You almost kind of seem to split their attention. John, you realize there is a correlation in the symbols on the floor and on the wall, and there are different sets, and they're almost arrayed in layers. On the floor in front of you, on the walls, they seem more random in their pattern. They're all mixed up. But on the floor in front of you, there's a sort of a ring of these symbols that are all this text or these character-based things of some sort. And then there's geometric order. And then in front of that, there are the cosmological kind of symbols. And then in front of that are these other kind of motion indicators. And there's rings. And this is a pretty good distance. This is, several strides through each of these belts. So you're probably a few dozen feet from this gateway, standing at the edge of it.
It looks like this ring on the floor is in more order than that on the gate itself. I kind of trace. Is the ring around the gate? Is it like a one by all the way around of symbols, or is it multiple rows of symbols.
There are many rows, but they're not incredibly uniform.
Okay.
Though that are on the wall. On the floor, they are pretty uniform.
Yeah.
How many approximately are there on the floor symbols?
A few hundred,
Okay.
probably. You know, without
In other words,
counting.
not 4.
No,
Right.
without counting, you think maybe it's about equal.
Yeah.
Ish. Just kind of looking.
Got it.
You know, they're roughly the same size. You know, take up about the same amount of space, but just a very different orientation.
Well, looks like these are in order, and those on the wall are not. They're random and doesn't even look like there's a pattern to it.
Do you think there's some way to adjust the ones above the archway to match those on the floor?
Perhaps, but how? I dare
A
not.
crossbow. A point to one of the symbols.
So Avery's just, while they've been doing this, like, I'm not really paying much attention to the symbols because I probably don't know what they mean. I've been watching those two sentinels pretty closely and just kind of trying to figure out if there is almost like a pattern to how they react or if they react kind of exactly the same way if I repeat a movement or something, you know.
Give me an insight check.
Sure. 25.
There's an intelligence to them for sure. And there is something about how they react, not just to movement, but seemingly to the things that your companions are observing and pointing out and looking at.
Okay.
You don't know exactly, with no features, it's hard,
Right.
but you're so good at, just the body language in a way of these things. There's a tenseness. There's something, as Hoffman points through different symbols and as he kind of moves and orients and looks at different things on the floor, you do see them kind of poised to react, almost lean forward slightly or back or, subtle movements, but definitely reacting.
Okay. I say you want me to shoot one of the symbols? And I watch them as I say that and kind of that's probably what clues me into that.
So as you go to do that, do you actually do it?
I
Or
slowly
aim.
Yeah,
at
I
least.
slowly load the hand crossbow and slowly pick it up and point it towards one of the symbol. I don't shoot it yet. I'm kind of watching how they react.
Okay. You cock your crossbow and take aim, and it sort of orients towards you, doesn't move any more than that.
I look to
Hold. I
okay.
say hold.
I believe they understand us.
As an intelligence.
Yes.
Interesting.
Hello. I just say to them.
Nope, no reaction.
2 sentinels flanking a doorway. Symbols in a stone wall beyond that. Right? On each side. That's what I'm seeing.
Stretching.
And there, you mentioned podiums.
There's sort of, pedestals on
Pedestals.
either side that these figures are on.
So they're elevated.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're large too. I'm sorry. These figures are, it's there's not a lot of objects in here besides you guys and this massive wall. So maybe you don't even realize it until you're sort of getting up closer, moving around and looking past each other. But they're probably a dozen feet tall on either side of this thing.
From where they are, without getting off the pedestals, could they reach us if we moved up to the symbols?
For most of it, yes.
Okay.
Well, there's probably a pattern you walk on. If I had to guess, some sort of trap system or trigger. The tiles themselves, but to understand what tile they are, I'd look up at the gate. It's just a random assortment.
Keeler, does any of this make sense to you? Is there something we're not seeing?
No, I do not recognize much.
I walk up to the tile.
Do you step onto it?
No, I kneel down next to it.
Okay.
As he starts, approaching, I unsling my shield and kind of like step behind him because I think that he's going to get attacked.
The figures definitely orient towards kind of whoever is closest to the tiles. They don't make much of a reaction as you wave your hand crossbow around willy-nilly, Jake.
Well,
Unless you see something in the pattern, Hoffman.
I mean, the pattern over the gate seems pretty random, right?
It seems almost completely random. Yeah.
but it is all the same symbols, just jumbled up.
Yep.
And there are some representing geometry, some constellations, some movement, etc. And that pattern is clear on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So from us to the door, what is that pattern?
So there's kind of
Like it's a semicircle,
it's a
like
a series of semicircles.
like inside each other.
Yep, inside each other.
Yep.
And
Like the top of a key in basketball.
exactly.
Okay.
Many of them, though. So there's 4 kind of bands that each have this the same kind in that band, but there's multiple rows of tiles in each band. So that this first one seems to be all of these characters of some sort. They definitely look like it looks like they're letters, but to a language that none of you know, not even you, Hoffman.
Yeah.
They just it looks like, fucking made up Fantasyland letters, like some fucking D&D playing nerds.
Tolkien shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And can the featureless statues be approached without crossing the threshold of the runes? Like, are they inside that or outflanking it?
They occupy actually a portion inside of it, basically.
Okay.
So they are at the corners of it.
1 foot in, 1 foot out, both feet in.
The pedestals are basically centered on the corner of these things. So they maybe overlap outside of it a bit, but mostly they're in it because these bigger bands on the outside have more space. They get smaller. So they're taking up some of the edges of that.
Okay. Got it. So I'm just imagining a U with a smaller U in it,
Yep.
with a smaller U in
Perfect.
it, with a smaller U in it. And there's 4 of those. And each one of them is a specific, you'd say, type of symbol with multiple symbols within.
Correct.
Okay. And that outside one is the characters.
Yep. And
what's the next one?
The next one so there's characters on the outside, then it's these geometric shapes.
Shapes. What's the third one?
You think star symbols in a way, constellations maybe?
That's fine. And then what's the next one?
Forms, movements, motions.
Movement. Understood. Okay. I'm going to walk on the outside perimeter of the character one.
Okay.
I'm going to walk all the way around, and I'm going to walk right towards the sentinel without touching
I'll be
these symbols.
I'll be doing the same thing on the opposite side.
Mirrored.
So
Okay.
we're like flanking, essentially.
Yep.
They seem to react more towards they seem the less interested in you approaching them than you approaching the tiles.
Aha. Okay. So if I say walk along that U portion
They're
toward,
focused very heavily on you.
okay, if I peel off a little and approach them from a more wide angle, they seem less interested.
Correct.
So I'm going to try to go wide, and I sort of try to get Keeler's attention and go a little wide away from that outer character symbol U, and just flank, not even like a military thing, just flanking around the far side to see if it just orients towards me and looks to me on the outside.
It doesn't. It seems to orient enough that if it had eyes,
if
you're
I-
probably in its peripheral vision.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But it's
His
definitely not
We go
like-
by his nose.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely not narrow, like not beelining.
He
at
seems
you.
less concerned.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Doctor,
Yes.
you think they're activated by stepping on it, you said?
Oh, it seems to make the most sense. They are interested. If you look at Adric out there, he is near the Sentinel, but it's more focused on me right here at the top.
Well, Adric,
I have my shield up just in case he brings down a heavy marbled fist into my stupid human face.
anyone have any suggestions on which letter I say?
And we're getting the same results with Keeler on the other side.
Yes.
So
Yep.
let's just for funsies say I'm near one sentinel, Keeler's near another, and these two guys are at the top of the key
At the
to
middle,
consider
yeah.
the
Take a
basketball.
3-pointer.
Yep.
Shoot
about
threes.
to drain a couple.
Fucking leave your hand up.
They stand in front of you like Shaq and just fucking smash it down.
That's just not fair.
He's 12 feet tall.
That's a foul, man.
It's Space Jam 3.
As he's just
That's the challenge.
We made Fantasy Space Jam.
as he holds Adric down and just marble fists his face, I'm just yelling foul over and over again as he turns my head into tomato
Call your
paste.
own fouls, bro.
All right. So I touch the pedestal with my hand.
Slight reaction, not much.
I touch him. Fuck it.
It feels solid. It feels different than when you touched Hoffman.
Great.
It feels distinct.
So if I backhand him, he'll feel it. I mean, conversely, I'll feel his backhand.
It would be
into the ether of the blackness.
Just float forever. He feels solid. Is this the sword or the hammer one?
sword on as you're facing them the left. So
Okay,
if that's
so
the side
sword-
you approach
sword's
is
me,
yep,
yep.
hammer on
Hammers on
the side that
Keeler.
Matt is on. Keeler or
Now
something.
you've given everything away.
I mean,
I think one of us steps on one of the characters. I shrug.
Here's a just a quick question to help my imagination. These increasingly smaller U's, are they flush to the one in front of it, or is there space in between, say, the characters and the shapes?
Just
Like
enough.
you couldn't jump into a space in between.
No,
That's all I'm asking.
It's almost like a there's a distinct, maybe like a feature,
Sure,
like a
sure.
strip,
Like
Just
a
enough to
border.
delineate that it's
to
a new row.
delineate.
Yeah.
Got it. Fair enough. Okay.
but you couldn't get even little twinkle toes in there.
I cast Mass Fly and we just fly up to the gate.
Oh, I have an idea. I say, hold on. I start jogging back to them to the top of the key up here. And I just start examining Hoffman and then Avery and seeing if there's any of these symbols appearing on their body, like glowing or anything like that.
No.
Just
What about on the wall? Are some of those are the same? Yes.
They all seem both on the ground and on the wall like carved. It's strange too because there's no source of illumination in here, and yet there's kind of light. So another weird thing, like there's no shadows, but you can see all the symbols fine. It's not incredibly bright. The brightest thing are the figures. All four of you, as well as these two things.
And on the wall, there on the wall, there's one long row of them. Right.
This is a jumble, I think.
It's
right?
almost like a jumble.
A
It's,
jumble.
it's the same.
Same.
Well, it's. I'm sorry, not a complete jumble. Just there aren't these four distinct
Yep.
borders, and all the types of the characters are all mixed up.
Okay.
I gesticulate a lot for my hands for a podcast.
Yeah.
I do too, big time.
I say, Keeler. I almost realize, maybe for the first time ever, that what I'm about to say sounds a little rude. But I say, do your people have a written language?
Yes.
Do you read from left to right, top to bottom, right to left? What?
Right to left, top to bottom.
Right to left, top to bottom. So I point to the top right of the jumble.
Well, it's rounded, so you can kind of get to
Yeah.
a top right.
So that's the hammer side.
I point to whichever character is most top and most right, and I say, let's step on that one.
Okay. You find one in that area, the closest in that area. That's one of these characters.
And on the outer U, they do not repeat. There's only one of each.
Correct.
Aha. Okay.
Correct.
That makes sense.
And you identify it. It's maybe about a third of the way around the side.
I do it. I walk around the edge.
I go
and
with
then,
him.
I carefully step onto it.
Okay, as soon as you step onto it, two things happen. One is all the symbols on the wall, on this archway in front of you, they sort of flare. These carvings, like white bluish light, comes to life in a quarter of them, and they suddenly rearrange into one strip. So all of these characters are in one strip across. At the same time, these two figures pull their weapons out and start to swing. So we're going to do initiative.
Oh, okay. Oh boy.
So this is brains and brawn. That's what you're telling me.
Oh, nice. Finally.
Big old fiver.
21.
Initiative.
22 for Avery.
No. I need my other one that I was using all the time, which got rearranged in your other stupid game.
Our other stupid game only uses D6s.
You're playing Star Wars.
No.
Oh, that's right.
Dungeon World.
All right, we'll use this one.
And Hoffman had 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Adric.
Adric is going to have. I can feel a big number coming here.
Hoffman immediately starts trying to memorize the order of the line that came up and is ignoring everything.
20 natural.
Whoa.
Okay. Was that any modifier on that?
Yeah, +1.
Oh, wow.
Wow, we got some high initiatives here.
Okay.
We're ready.
Okay. So Avery, it will be your action. Suddenly these letters form into a order, and in a way that it's not just in order, but almost like they're broken up into words. There's spacing between some of them.
And it's just the letter.
Just the
characters.
letters.
Okay.
They're the only thing that changed right now. This is the ring that you stepped onto. The symbols on the floor in front of you do not change in their character.
So now it's basically like Tolkien Wheel of Fortune up there.
Right.
Got it.
but these things they don't have to get off of the wheel, their pedestals. They're swinging from where they are.
They seem to. They might. One of them might be approaching, because it's on the other side.
Okay. I'm going to use cunning action to make a move. I'm gonna move to whichever one is the first one lit up on the wall.
Okay.
And if nothing changes, I'm going to. How does fighting defensively work in this in fifth edition?
I think. What is it? You impose disadvantage, or do you add to your armor class?
You impose
I
disadvantage.
can look it up if
it's-
you want. Well,
Okay,
you go
why
to the
don't you
next
do that?
person.
You have
But
to spend a full round. I did it to protect you last time.
because
Yeah.
I know it's a full round, but I have the cunning action, so
Right,
that
right,
I
right.
think allows me to move and do it. But I'll look that up while you go to the
I
next.
think
Okay.
you can still move and do it anyway, but I'm not 100%.
And I'll say this too. The reality is that between not having the exact visuals and the fact that you guys aren't your characters, there are some things where you're gonna have to use rolls or certain skills to figure things out.
Sure.
Like you guys are not necessarily gonna have to
Totally.
tell me how you're trying to decipher things.
I understand.
All right. So Ty goes to the nat 20 in this case. So Adric, your action.
Adric. Okay, so he stepped, a very fast recap. He stepped on a symbol. The symbol is arranged into what appeared to be a word above the door, and the one he stepped on is lit up there.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the ones that have rearranged, I'm going to look. Was it the first one that lit up?
They all lit up. All of the ones that are in this first quarter, this arc
Up top.
up top, all lit up and rearranged.
Okay, with his that he stepped on being first.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's the case, then I think the move here is for us to step on every one of the symbols that represents every one of the letters up top. So I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So I'm currently on the first one.
Okay.
I don't
Yep.
think you have to stay on it, but I don't know. I might be wrong about that. So I guess I will. I guess that would be some sort of perception. I was reading this the other day. You gave it to me, which is nice of you. But the simple explanation I was picking up on was insight is people, perception is things.
Yes. True.
So perception I'm going to use in this case because I'm going to try to just spot these symbols and just move to them, shield up. I'm not going to try to attack these things because I don't think it's going to do anything.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right. So give me a perception roll. Keeler, what are you doing?
I yell, step on the symbols.
Yeah, I guess I will look for the third
Okay, I got
symbol and sort of follow Adric's lead.
Okay.
I got a 19.
19. Okay. All right. Hoffman, what are you doing? Dr. Hoffman?
As they start to run across the symbols, Hoffman will kind of shake out of trying to read something that he can't read, and jumps into action and kind of follows Adric along and Keeler along, trying to basically light up all the symbols in a row.
Okay.
Order.
So so the four of you basically start moving and jumping onto these first four symbols.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, give me an insight check. John, Do you have
I'll take it.
insight?
No.
Investigation, perhaps.
Okay.
25 again.
Okay.
11.
I don't actually think that there is any fighting defensively anymore. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
It's just called dodge.
Really?
Dodge.
Oh.
What was the total on that, John?
11.
And the perception was 19. And what was your roll, Jake?
25.
25. Okay. You guys start to jump out on these symbols. You see these figures react and bring around their weapons, and they seem to like almost instantly orient towards whoever moved last. And
Interesting.
as they start to swing, Jake, you immediately realize that they, as Hoffman crossed, he actually went the furthest in to step on that fourth symbol. As soon as he stepped on that symbol, they oriented away from him, and they both swing towards the other two that are closest, which is yourself, Avery, and Adric. So they do not go after where Hoffman is, that symbol that he stepped on.
Okay.
What is your armor class?
Make note of that symbol.
Did you find that dodge thing?
I did.
Can you move and dodge? Because if so, I'm doing the same
When you
shit.
take a dodge action, you focus entirely on avoiding attacks. Until the start of your next turn, any attack against you has disadvantage. If you can see the attacker and you make a dexterity saving... you make dexterity saving throws with advantage.
Okay.
It's just an action, and they have disadvantage.
Okay.
Then I will be dodging as well, if that's okay with you, Josh. If I can still move, right?
Yes.
Doesn't say you can't move.
So Jake, you dip low and bring your shield up over as this hammer clangs off it.
I have a 20 right
You
now.
you try the same, Adric. Roll the 19 and an 18.
I'll take
So-
the 18.
You this blade kind of bangs home against you, and it's a strange sensation because it is pain, but there's a different feeling about it. It's almost like a numb, detached pain.
Got it.
Like almost if you're, if you've had like pins and needles, or if you've ever like, had local anesthesia and something like just at the edge of that pain limit, like right as it's coming back, and that pain you start to feel, or
Excuse me.
or just a little bit further away.
Got it.
And you take 8, and right back to the top, Avery.
I'm going to move to where Hoffman is standing.
Okay.
He spotted it. I did not. Just to be
Yes.
clear, right?
And
Okay.
and I say, why aren't they attacking you, Hoffman? As I move up next to you.
I don't
shield
know.
up.
This is just the next letter in the sequence.
It might be because you're on the right place.
Well, everyone move here then.
Well, there has to be another one. There has to be the next one in the sequence. I look up at the top of the archway.
You definitely not all 4 of you can fit on it.
Of
Okay.
course.
All right.
A couple.
The symbols above the door are all lit up. They're just rearranged.
Yes. No. I'm sorry. The only ones that are lit up are the ones that represent the characters of this language,
Okay, understood.
and they're rearranged. The rest are kind of like muted and still just carvings.
Got it.
So, I don't remember exactly where we were. Fucking siren.
We're still doing initiative, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Basically.
So I move.
So you came over and you indicated
yeah.
something about this spot.
I move to Hoffman and I say that and then I'm just gonna dodge again. But I got my shield up. I'm
Okay.
kind of right next to him. Want to see if they keep trying to attack me.
Okay.
If it is a group of 4, then perhaps the fourth next symbol.
I count and move to that symbol. 1, 2, 3, 4. Towards the hammer side, I guess.
Okay.
Wait, you guys read right to left?
Mm-hmm.
I go towards the sword
Well,
side.
it's all the one we're on.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Hoffman, give me a investigate check.
Sure. Oh, like garbage. 13.
Inspiration.
Wait.
Do I have? I don't know if I have any.
I have 1.
I don't think I have any. Just erased.
Keeler, what are you doing? Anything?
I guess just following whatever patterns they're calling out. So if it's the 4th one, then I'll go to the next 4th.
Okay.
The 8th one.
Yeah, I went 4 with a dodge. So
Okay.
if I could attack again.
And yeah, same.
They start to swing towards both of Adric and Keeler. Hoffman with a 13 and an 11. You haven't quite put it together, but you think there's something different about that 4th symbol. In this, pattern that's up there. and you think there might be more of them.
Okay.
You're on the fourth one, right, John?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hoffman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an idea.
16. What's your armor class, Matt?
15.
Okay. You take 6 from this hammer that swings as you move forward onto that side, kind of clangs into you again, that same weird detached pane I described, and right back to the top.
I'm going to move into the second row of
I was going to
rings.
suggest that.
Okay. Same thing happens. You step on those rings, and those geometric elements light up, kind of trace with that bright white light, and rearrange on the wall over this archway.
I'll go to the fourth one that's lit up.
Okay. The order of these is different. It builds up and then back down in terms of size of these
I see.
objects.
Okay.
So there is a very noticeable pattern on this one. But which one do you go for?
How many are there total?
I mean, maybe 30, 40.
Okay. They're all, and this is the row of symbols, right?
Yep.
So when you say symbols, you mean like
Shapes.
like shapes?
Yes.
Polygons.
All right.
Polygons. Yeah.
I'm probably. I mean, I've only got a couple seconds. I'm probably just gonna go to one that looks somehow familiar to me. Maybe it looks similar to a house emblem or something like that. I don't know. Like,
Okay.
Kind of just gut check.
All right.
I feel like it's a.
Give me a wisdom roll.
Sure. Is this a wisdom saving throw or just wisdom? It
Wisdom.
doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, call it a no. It's just a wisdom ability check.
It'll be the same check
Okay.
either way. Oh, that 20. Wow.
Okay,
Plus, plus 2, 22.
Okay. As you're doing that, you go to step on one, and then you suddenly just kind of at the last second jump a little bit further, and you jump onto a symbol of an arch, an archway, and this hammer pivots as it starts being swung down at you, pivots away from you very suddenly. And Keeler.
I think I'm after Avery, right?
Oh yes, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Adric.
So so the shapes lit up. I'm going to follow Avery's lead now, and I'm going to look at the constellations. And are they arranged from right to left as well?
So you're going to step up onto the constellations?
To the next you, I guess.
Okay, the third one in. They rearrange, and the constellations.
Well, just to be clear, the one I step on is the one to the right most, which is how this whole thing started, I think. Right, like the one that's on the right, the furthest
Okay.
on the right, because his guess was the way they read, the way the language is. I'm just going to go that one on the right, and I run and jump on that one.
Okay. You do so. You step forward, and the symbols, once again, those constellations light up, flare up, and now you have a third row of these lit up symbols. And you step on one, and you see this white figure. It doesn't even walk, it just kind of glides. It slides off the pedestal towards you and starts bringing the sword down.
Okay.
Keeler, what are you looking at? What are you focusing on?
I have no idea. I don't understand this. I've got
I say
I've
there's
got
tell you-
no
there's
intelligence,
4 of
so-
us. There's 4 yous.
The one thing that is the most familiar to Keeler are the constellations. As they rearrange and the patterns move on this wall in this lit up way, give me a nature check.
20 dirty.
Okay. You know it's not a random order as these symbols start to line up. You believe they are arrayed by a timeline of a sense of when you could best see any of them, whether it's as the sky moves throughout the season.
Oh, I think I get this a little bit.
Okay. And Dr. Hoffman.
Hoffman sees he's trying to decipher basically the text as they're jumping past him, kind of staring up at the text, and he sees that Avery jumped onto that one symbol and it didn't attack him. So I'm going to try to use the information of it being an arch and the word or letter that I'm kind of focused on and see if I can correlate the two somehow.
Okay. Give me another investigate check.
Can I free talk? here a little?
Quick,
Hello,
yeah,
see?
short things. You want to call something out?
Yeah. I say, each you represents one of us. Character, shapes, constellations, movement.
That makes sense.
That's a guess.
I say, then
guys.
your movement.
I nod yes. I start looking at the movement symbols.
25.
Leading into my turn.
25.
Yeah.
Okay. There, you basically start to try to figure out the language almost through correlations.
Yeah.
And you realize that these letters are pertaining, are descriptors of a sense. And, essentially that these letters, maybe you can think of them as vowels, but there are these key indicators that seem to, they do in fact repeat. They're the only symbols that appear more than once. And there's a few of them. And you see that, you step from one to another, and those bright white lit up symbols fade out. They stay arranged in the pattern they are, but they fade kind of to a dark or a low goldish hue.
Neat.
And fade away. Meanwhile, the blows descend towards Hoffman and towards Keeler and Adric. 15 armor class, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be. Did you got hit once before?
Yes.
Okay,
There's only like 6 though.
that is 9er, and Adric, you are able to block with your shield as the sword comes across. Back up, Avery.
I say, Doctor, what did you do?
The symbols, they were the same. They repeated through the words, and I just hit all of them. You seem to have found yours. Are there any other shapes? I kind of look at the shapes and see if there's any other arch-like shapes in that band.
There are ones that build off that same kind of basic design. Yes.
There, to your right, over there.
Okay, I'm gonna try to follow his instructions. Maybe that's an assist.
Okay.
Try to figure out which shapes are similar.
All right. Why don't you give me an investigation with advantage as Hoffman helps you, and the two of you kind of working through that. Adric.
I step into the movement ring.
I rolled a 3 and a 1.
Okay. 3 and a 1. Okay. Fucking killer. That might take you a minute. You step into the movement.
I'm going to look at all the symbols on the move. It's the smallest ring, right? So the least amount of symbols.
There is.
Okay.
Give me a roll, an attack roll.
Okay.
You attack the darkness.
All right. That's just proficiency plus strength you want to do? So just the base plus
Yep.
6? How's a 23 feel?
Okay. As you step into this innermost ring, again, these last order, ignite, and again, rearrange. There's only maybe a dozen.
Okay.
And you realize that they are almost what you think they are like the like a drill, like a form. Like
In other words, like a
swordsman.
kata.
Exactly.
Okay. To be done in a specific cadence and order.
Yes.
Got it. Well, if I try to get that order in my head, I will try to maneuver to those symbols in order in my next turn, I guess.
Keeler.
So if I recognize that the constellations are in you said a timeline of when they'd be in the sky,
Yes.
I'll move to the constellations that are in that order from the start of the year, I guess.
Okay. So you're starting at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Give me another nature check. And as you are doing that, the swords do the attacks do descend. One again towards Adric. Now you're up in the innermost. You're once again able to deflect. And you're the third ring in, Keeler, but it's actually Avery makes some missteps, and you're a bit distracted at this point. You're kind of whole focus, so you're
Yep.
not doing your full dodge. but does an 16?
No.
Okay.
Miss. Nice.
You kind of duck under this great white hammer that swings over your head.
I'm just imagining Adric doing the kata, and it like in the process of it, the sword goes whizzing by his face.
Okay. And back through Avery and Hoffman, you're working on that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna assist him trying to figure out which one correlates with the arch that he already pressed.
So
Okay.
I think with Avery's amazing roll of a 3 and a 1, he kind of got distracted looking at what Keeler and Adric were doing. So I kind of like took a half step onto a different symbol and then lost track of what Hoffman was telling me, and I was watching them.
No,
and,
Avery, the one to the right of that.
and I say it's telling a story. It's a pattern, and I'm looking for something that might be like a continuation of that arch. Like,
I like it. Okay.
yeah.
Advantage again.
What kind of check is this?
That is perception.
Okay.
It's called perception.
I dig it.
In that case, I got a 19.
Okay.
A niner.
Okay. Adric.
I'm going to take in the symbols, and I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for.
All right.
I'm thinking, okay, each one of these U's represent one of us. The continuation on that was Avery's wisdom to suggest that they're telling a story with that, and the same thing with the constellations. So what I'm going to do, and the hardest job is for Hoffman, clearly, is I'm going to look for any symbol that could represent the first engagement we had on this quest. And
Okay.
if I find it, I jump onto it. If not, I'm going to just revert to, my regular night training of drills and what I would teach men first, and then second, and then third, and go in that order. So those are my two avenues of thought.
Okay. Pursuing the first one, you're not sure you see anything
Okay.
that cues directly to that. So you
Okay.
go back to your nightly ways.
Got it.
And give me
I look in the mirror and go, that's what it
give
is.
me another quote unquote attack roll.
Sure thing.
And meanwhile,
I'm gonna let the green
Keeler,
cool off.
what are you working on? Or I'm sorry, you did tell me what you're working on. So what you realize, one more nature check, Keeler.
16, Josh.
16? Okay.
For Adric.
20.
20. Okay. What you realize, Keeler, is as you move towards that constellation, the first, one of these figures orients to attack you and then stops and then moves back to. As you cross one symbol and keep going, and you realize the symbol you stepped on is one of 3 of these constellations that would be visible right now in the season that you are in. So you realize that, just not in time for the blow that descends and does indeed strike you again for 7.
Chipping away at him.
But you think you know the 3 symbols you need, and sorry, Adric, you start to go through the forms, and you think you are on the right track,
Nice.
but you see that?
Yeah, that's happened twice tonight. You can't see it on the podcast, but the dial leaned from a 19 to a 3. So thank you for that.
I moved the it was kind of like crooked, moved it away.
Jacob had the same thing for Avery on the mic cord, and it went from like a 3 to a 17. So I'm like, nice.
All right, and with those last swings, Avery, you complete this pattern as you and Hoffman go back and forth. Keeler, you trace out these constellations in the sky, and you finish as these the first 3 rows fade to that dull gold, and to finish to see Sir Adric actually working out with his weapon this kata of these forms on the ground, and the 4th row fades to gold, and this solid barrier just fades into nothingness, and a kind of blank lit tunnel appears before you.
Oh, that was quite the puzzle. Are the other creatures still attacking?
I still have my
And-
thing up in a Conan thing. Just I wanted somebody to take a picture of that.
And the figures are immediately just back to their pedestals, and now they do appear as statues, just almost more solid in a way, marble-esque. And we'll stop there. We'll pass on to
man.
test number 2 next week.
We're
right.
wicked smart. Jeez.
I feel like Dr. Hoffman would really. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe, put us on your MySpace page, or visit us at nastygrampod.com. You can also check us out at Instagram. That's at nastygrampg. Our intro music is by Wilhelm Scream. Outro music by Creepin' Cadavers. Scores by Adrian Von Ziegler. Also, check out Liberty Street Geek for all the help that they've given us. Thank you, and see you next week.
Dreams of fame that will never come true. Spend all our days watching the world fade away. Dance until the lights go out.
That's nasty.
Got to roll for your test.
Roll for
Roll
the
for test.
Oh, I should get
Conversation
dice.
initiative.
Actually.
Don't start with me with that. Do you know that that's a true story?
Yeah.
Were you there for
Your
that?
filthy fucking
debacle?
fingers off the DM's dice. What are you doing?
You weren't there for that.
No.
I thought it was.
Where are the communal? Oh, okay.
Where,
Communal?
where's the 1,000 dice?
Where's my dice?
Where
Where's
are
my
dice?
handout?
These are mine.
You're taking government dice.
They're all- they're-
You
they're
know
all
what?
free
Those
dice.
are all our dice. I paid for those dice.
Ten Staffel.
Listen, you. Just because my dice are in the communal pile doesn't mean that they're yours.
That's
I
true.
know that's how you fucking military people think things work.